You see that 12 ring I just shot with my PSE bow? You want a PSE bow? I'll tell you what, I'll give you a PSE bow. All you gotta do is like, subscribe, and comment on the channel. If you do that, we're gonna give one away. And if you do that, you're entered to win. Simple as that. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. Well, through my business, I travel to a lot of states. I travel anywhere from pretty much South Dakota all the way to Ohio, down to Tennessee, and everything in between to help property owners out. Those are the states that I'm familiar with. Those are the states I've hunted. Those are the states that if I've hunted those states, I can help you. Unlike a lot of other guys out there, they hunt 3-4 states. They killed a couple Pope and Young bucks, and they go to a bunch of states and they try and help them. And although they can probably help them, I don't think they can necessarily tailor in or really focus in on you know, why deer use terrain a certain way in a certain state and why Kansas is different than Kentucky, and Kentucky's different than northern Wisconsin. These are all places I've been. So with that being said, I've been a lot of places, seen a lot of property. I've seen the value of property, and let's face it, everybody wants to have their own chunk of land, and we'll probably go over this in the future, what state would be best to buy hunting land in, but there is absolutely a worst state in my mind to buy hunting land in. So this state, the issue with it is the price is being driven up. And don't get me wrong, every state has its honey holes where you can probably get a good deal. There's always a scenario where the old lady is selling everything and her husband's gone, whatever. You can always find those deals in any state. But as a whole, this state is one of the worst, I think, to buy real estate in. Not saying it's horrible, I'm not going to say it's impossible to make your money back, or if you're whatever you're trying to do, flip the property. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but in my opinion, it is the worst state to buy land in for hunting. That state's Wisconsin. There's a lot of hunters in Wisconsin. I live in Wisconsin now. I moved to Wisconsin, so I think that this might upset some people, which, you know, it's not meant to do that, but hear me out. I travel to a lot of states. You know, you go to Illinois, you go to Iowa. Granted, you got to be a resident in Iowa to basically hunt your property if you buy property there on a yearly basis. Missouri, all these states, like, you can still find land at a pretty respectable dollar amount if you search and if you put in the time, like anywhere else. And if you do, you can still get a good deal on property, and who knows, depending on what your goals are, have world-class deer hunting for a certain price, and maybe flip it, do whatever you want to do with real estate. I mean, everybody wants to get invested in real estate. It's one thing you'll never lose on. It's one thing they're not making any more of. But Wisconsin, for the same price that you might pay in another state, you most likely won't have the same quality deer depending on where you are. And some of you are saying, I got a 190-inch deer, I live in Buffalo County or Trempealeau County. You guys are minorities in that case. So why is Wisconsin the worst state to buy hunting land? What if I told you it had absolutely nothing to do with the deer? Now it does. I mean, obviously the deer, you know, play a role in that. There's better quality deer in other states, that are like across more of the area and things like that. There's select spots in Wisconsin people hear about, know, and love. But what if I told you it had nothing to do with the deer? The majority of the reason is, or actually has nothing to do with the deer hunting. It has to do with the people. Wisconsin is one of those states, Michigan's up there, Pennsylvania, Texas, we talk about too, as a state with a lot of hunters. So what does a lot of hunters do? It cranks up the amount of people interested in buying hunting property. Well, when you have a lot of people interested in buying hunting property, the price goes up. So what I like to tell people when they're looking at properties to buy and things like that, in the state of Wisconsin, I always tell them, realize that the deer quality isn't what's driving the price up. It's the demand to have your own piece of ground in Wisconsin. There's a lot of hunters here, and with a lot of hunters, a lot of people want land. So with that being said, that's what's driving the cost up at the end of the day, and it's not necessarily just the quality of deer. Those are all things you should think about. Don't get me wrong, there are honey holes in Wisconsin where you could probably find a deal. Certain situations, which you could find a deal. But for the most part, it's one of the hardest states to get your value. And another thing that I think about is the fact that everybody pretty much owns a 40 in Wisconsin. Everybody owns an 80. There's a couple areas, once again, that are outliers. But if you have 4 neighbors, you know, a couple neighbors that all own a 40, think about how much competition there is. Those deer aren't going to stay on your 40 acres over 365 days a year. They might for a little bit of time, but they have to travel. And when they have to travel, and we're hunting in a state during gun season that has 4 guys on every 40, how are you gonna have mature deer? It's just hard. So there's a lot of different reasons why Wisconsin, in my opinion, is the worst state to buy hunting land. Those are those reasons. And if you still want to hunt Wisconsin because there's a lot of tradition and it's close to your home location and things like that, I totally get it. But for me, I think Wisconsin is one of the worst locations to buy the hunting land. So with that being said, guys, we're making a lot of videos. We're putting out 2 a week. If you guys like these videos, make sure you like them. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and you're always entered in the giveaways that we're doing once you subscribe. So make sure you like and subscribe to win some free stuff, guys.